like to introduce you briefly to the audience. So, welcome, Sara Pignatelli. So good to have you here. I thought of you this morning how to introduce you, and I really felt like I want to say my sister in ceremony, that was where we met last year. Mm-hmm. We sat in ceremony together, and it was a night of prayer where, for me, I really invited in community, and I really invited the tribe here in Ericeira, where we live. And it was a night where you shared your music. We shared prayers together. I remember praying about community and bringing in love. It was a very personal and deep night for both of us. And there's something that happens in these ceremony nights when we sit with a teacher plant and we sing and we pray and we share, that creates a level of trust, a level of connection that is what I find very, very unique in our day-to-day. Because it was only afterwards that you invited me over to your place, and we sat with another friend, and we had an evening where we just talked about all things relationships. And it was like, first we connect on a soul level, and then we connect on like a level where we share the day-to-day of our life, our opinions, our worldviews, and all of that. And I got to learn that, you are, for me, like an artist through and through. You are an artist by university degree, but even more important, you are an artist really in life. I see your paintings, I hear your music, I witness how you teach yourself a new art, I witness how you go into deep inner journeys to connect with a new skill, with a new art, to really learn it, to really bring it into your life. You have your own fashion brand. I think it's shoes, right? And kimonos.
I had the burnout, and I had to grow up from that. Actually, it was a very important lesson.
We will come to that. But so you had a shoe brand, not anymore. Now you have kimonos that you design.
Yes.
You are
I have a vintage business,
vintage business. You DJ for ecstatic dance, or I see you with your mics on and really going with the music. So for me, there's like this embodied feminine who really loves to birth new projects, to birth new art into the world. It's something that I see, and when I come to your home, it's always full of aliveness, full of colors. Yeah, it's just something where I feel an embodied, strong woman who knows who she is, who knows her talents, who is open to an ever unfolding journey. And today we are here to talk about relationships, all things that come up in that journey. And with that, you just turned 40. It was the solar return last weekend.
See.
Let's maybe start by sharing a little bit of your life's reflections. What came up for you just recently?
Yeah, when I realized I was becoming 40, I like to write, but I don't like to force it. I think the important message that I have to put out, and I don't mean just for others, I mean for myself. I think the power of, you just mentioned ceremonies and so on, the power of praying and visualizing, it's very, very strong. And we have psychiatrics and MIT research is confirming that. But also the power of writing is it's kind of materializing your thoughts, right?
I'm a writer as well. You see my notebook right here.
And sometimes I come up with these texts, I try to not overload my social networks with meaningless things, but I try to put something that I would find interesting, someone to tell me. And so I start writing this. What would I enjoy hearing from an adult when I was born? Just to navigate this life a bit more with more. I don't mean tools, but with more guidance. Like a compass, like a map. So, and I wrote regarding love. Well, not only, of course, but on this topic. That I really believe that we are a continuation of our parents' story. Either genetically, but also we come here to process and ideally transform the values, update them, the values that they give to us through our education. And also we come to learn from their experience. And to be very honest, you know, like I didn't see any women in my lineage, in my family, being happy in marriage. Mm-hmm. So I think at some point it became a bit obvious that dreaming about that could be a waste of time.
Dreaming about the perfect marriage or like one day. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like we are kind of ridiculous to spend to have expectations on that, you know, because we look around and we don't have confirmations. So I tried to evolve from that, but I didn't do it alone. It was my relationships that taught me, with the ups and the downs, you know, with the blissful moments, but also with the very dramatic ones. Yeah. That we are this generation that actually have the freedom to fail and to learn from that and to process, to try out new things, to take breaks, to look for partners with more tools, more experience. And yeah, I think this is a good introduction.
Yeah. We are this generation, like the first one in our lineage, that doesn't have to look at survival in a way our grandparents had to, that doesn't have to fight for equality like our parents potentially had to. What would you say is like our task in the year 2020 and beyond? What is our task as generation? How to evolve what we think about relationships and potentially marriage? But I'm not even so much talking about marriage. I'm really more talking about, you know, a love relationship, whether it leads to marriage or not. What are we here to learn?
I think, first of all, we are all looking for honest, intimate affection, you know, that nurture us, that give us comfort, that makes life sweet and tender, and that doesn't leave an acid taste in your mouth when you turn your back, you know, and you go to your job and you are spending a lot of your energy having heavy thoughts because I shouldn't have talked this way, this touch was not right, my intuition tells me that will go something wrong. You know, I think all of us, even those that are very independent and say that they don't want that, they want that. Everyone wants that, you know. It's like we are all looking for that. Wait, I lost myself. I had something else to say. What was the question?
What is our generation here for to learn? So we all want intimacy.
The thing that I really think we are here to learn is that human species doesn't come here to procreate infinitely, you know, and in my honest opinion, most of the world's problems come precisely from that. Getting married and having kids is not and doesn't have to be the ultimate solution for happiness. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I assist some, let's say, circles. I assist many kind of self-development work. This last year was bombastic. It was a bit absurd. I never thought I would do things I'm doing now, but I think the opportunities crossed and I accepted. And I deal with people and I deal with them in delicate situations where they share their most vulnerable aspects of that moment. And and everyone had so many expectations about this, getting married, having kids, ideals, relationships, and everyone is so disappointed and everyone is kind of a bit lost, you know, and growing up from transforming these pains and somehow into new life models.
I feel that as well, and I had a similar experience this March when I think we were at the dinner together when you shared with me the ceremony that was happening, circle on ayahuasca, and I went there right after my last summit for integration. I wanted to integrate the online summit, and I went there and I was, you know, curious what would happen. And the biggest teacher or the biggest lesson that I took away from that ceremony was it was 3 elder who came from, was it Peru? Who came from Peru, but it was a mom, a daughter, and an uncle who came, and they came to bring not only medicine but even more so their frequency, their wisdom to us. And I was sitting in that circle and I was looking around 20 people and, we were all there sitting silently, waiting for the evening to begin and dropping into our space. And I felt such a burden, such a heaviness, such a loss of connection, every individual was there alone and on their own, like a tree that was with chopped off roots. And I saw the three tribal family members and I saw how they were each supporting each other and how they were, in their full strength and like full trust in life and connection. And I had this deep pain inside myself of like living in this first world where somewhat everybody is disconnected, somewhere everybody is, so focused on themselves and on, finding out their mission, their purpose in life, what they really want to achieve, having still this ideal of a relationship, and then realizing, oh, it comes different, right? It's almost as if you need to, dig yourself out of all these layers to see, oh, wow, actually, I want connection, I want relationships, and I want this form of love relationship and this form of life and not what somebody projected onto me. And for that, I need to let go of some of the bullshit that I inherited from lineage, from society, from all of that. And I almost feel like it does take until almost like your mid-30s to even realize all of these. Like you need to go through, like maybe that would be a good sharing because you already pinpointed at some points. But what were your most transformative moments in life of like realizing, oh wow, like this is who I am and this is what I want in life? There was a burnout for many people. That is
the burnout for sure.
Defining moments in life.
Yes, it's like, well, let's start. I don't want to go a lot backwards. So in high school, I went to an artistic high school in Portugal. Its name is Escola António Arroio. This was a paradigm shift, because it was a school only of artists and where teachers would look at you and promote your uniqueness.
Wow.
I don't know if we are allowed to speak this year, but it was during this phase that I had the first contact with psychedelics. I'm not an example for everyone. It was a free jump without any knowledge. There was no internet, I was like, to be honest, looking back, I think I had a team of guardian angels.
Yeah.
Kind of sustaining me and guiding my steps because it could have gone very wrong. But it didn't, and I was never interested in life, I was a really bad student. I was never interested in adult conversations, until the moment I tried psychedelics, and I really understood, wow, there's magic in this world, and I became a genius student. I became the top 3 of that school. I entered in a public university and so on. So this was definitely a paradigm shift.
Yes.
Of my story, of course, the burnout, because then I studied, I did everything that was supposed to, like I finished university, I tried to fit in a normal job, then the normal job collapsed me. To be honest, I was really not made to work in at least companies that are not aligned with my purpose. And I was in a moment, I reached the point that I thought about killing myself because I came from an artistic background and path, and suddenly I was in the fashion industry producing pollution. Like Contact, I produced millions of fashion products, It was pure trash, toxic, noisy, dirty, bosses not paying suppliers. And it was the worst of human species there. And I went to talk with the psychiatrist and told him, listen, if it's going to be like this, I prefer quitting. And so I turned the situation around. I built up my own fashion brand, shoes made of trash. It was a beautiful journey, a beautiful PhD also, because I was doing everything by myself. But then I collapsed, and in the end, I realized even with that fashion brand, I was trying to fit. I was trying to impress my family, to prove that I could do it, and so on. And what else? And from there, I start studying plants. I completely immersed in the study of nature. And when you take even psychedelics, I don't. I stopped researching chemicals. I'm only into nature. Mm-hmm. And I will dedicate my life to this. Mm-hmm. But when you take either psychedelics or entheogenics, you're forced to study. You are there to learn, Of course, if not to go to parties and to be recreative. If you take in a calm setting, really to listen the information this substance have to whisper and have to say about you, your environment, you can't escape. You're going to learn. These tools, they teach us, they teach us how to navigate in this world, in our environment, in our own life experience. Mm-hmm. So this was for sure a conductor. And also other things like love, disappointment. I already lost a baby. And of course, all these, the traumatic events are really, I think those who doesn't suffer much, they also don't grow much, because when you really go deep down the bottom, you really have to recognize what are your tools. How can I recover from this? And when you do recover, you are stronger, Mm-hmm. And you really know your tools. In the middle of the way, you discover new tools. You contact with a lot of interesting people. You realize humans, we are not just our appearance. Each one of us is facing big battles and conquering huge empires. And so...
Yeah. I think... going back to what are we as generation here to learn and maybe also shift and change in relationships. I think many of the things that you describe feed into that, because in a way I look back at my parents' generation and I would see that emotions didn't have a lot of space. I would see that, this idea of connecting or healing through trauma, really looking into trauma and making it a power. It was not, let's say, often a conscious thing. In moments that was still the generation that would see any form of nightmares or how you are different from others as something to go to the psychiatrist and, figure out how to fit in better or how to just perform. Whereas now we are this generation that has somewhat the luxury, but also the burden to be able to do inner work, and there's many things that you mentioned in the tool belt, and for some it can be the path of plant medicine, and really in that space, as you described it, sitting in a circle in a calm environment, there is no escaping of these lessons. You're going to learn. And at the same time, it can be in a very heartfelt, safe environment if you create that, and you can do healing for yourself, for your ancestry, for many generations back, where I feel there's the power in our generation to really move our genes, so to say, to a new level. The children that are born in this time by these parents have the ability to grow up without the luggage and baggage that is weighing down from past generations, and at the same time with the power and energy of past generations. For me, I was giving a talk a month ago on my ancestry 100 years back, over the past 100 years. And it was not a beautiful story, but it was a story of strong women who made sure that every generation was better off than the generation before. And it was just like what I was describing, or it's always, sometimes I see it as the chakra evolution, but it was making sure you're safe, making sure the next generation is better off, better connected in society, and then moving up the Maslow pyramid of needs almost. And now we are at the stage where it's about self-actualization, or where it's about really harnessing your uniqueness. And when you shared, I had goosebumps when you shared your university setting, a room full of artists and teachers that actually want you to see your uniqueness, what makes you different from all the others. Because I went to business school and nobody had an interest in making me unique. You go to business school and the whole idea is to teach you what to dress, what to say, what to check, like what is the right checkbox to mark, how to fit into those numbers. And in that way, you know, there's like manufacture of people coming out from there. And many do, like some do find their unique path and do want to make live their purpose in life. But nobody had an interest in figuring out what is my uniqueness. It was more like, do this personality test so you can optimize even more, right? And you can, you know, harness your strengths and forget about the weaknesses, or how to somewhat work harmoniously together. And it was only for me in the setting of relationships, love, or friends, or plant medicine that I understood, wait, like I'm actually here to bring my uniqueness into this world. And so in that regard, I feel so connected whenever we spend time with one another. But because I do feel we are still somewhat, sometimes rare in this world. You know, we are the ones with colors, with bringing art out there in the world. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges as 30 plus or 30 and upward women in this world, and being somewhat on your own. I don't like the word being single because I don't feel it's my identity. I feel like there is so much stigmatization around you are a single or you are a couple, and the challenges, like what are potential reasons why a woman is not, and you mentioned it, like you didn't see happy relationships. Why are you not in a relationship? Is that even a goal, a path? And what does it mean to be labeled being single? Well,
I don't really think too much about that. It's not. However, I'm single for, if I'm not wrong in my calculations, 8, 9, or 10 years. You know, I ended up my last relationship. I had amazing relationships. You know, I'm really good friends of most of my ex-boyfriends. They are there for me when I have a plumbing problem or a computer problem. It's to them. I call them. You know, it's like, we are friends, and I remember my relationships, and they were long. I remember them with a smile in my face, you know, and I was loved, and so on. But
it's important. Not many people have that. Many people in my coachings come with, you know, a broken heart from 10 years, from 15 years, from 20 years, from their first love story, right? And they carry that into their everyday lives. It's something I do cherish if people can really say, I have loved, I was loved, and I keep them in my heart, and they are there for me.
See, yeah. And then it's like to put someone in my life, like imagine, most of people do that, but like completely share everything, you know. Not everyone is suitable for everything, you know. I do so many things, you know. I'm a bit of an artist, a bit of an entrepreneur, a bit of whatever, you know. Maybe I'm forgetting something here. Not everyone suits in all my aspects, you know. And that's very clear. I hope one day, of course, I have that wish. One day I'll find someone who fully understands what I bring to the table, you know, and somehow cooperate, complement, expand, but also observe with admiration, and I hope one day to bring also that to someone's life. But of course, during this period that I've been single, of course I had affairs, and they taught me a lot. But it's quite kind of obvious for me. When I meet someone, you know, we women, at least I think most of us, we are very intuitive, you know. We have this, when someone starts talking and I start meeting him better, I can understand what aspects of this person I love, what aspects of this person I can live with, and I also identify very fast which ones I cannot live with. And it's a dance, you know, it's like... I had affairs that lasted maybe a decade or all this period, you know, and they exist in their own way. That is not a relationship. Again, well, I come from the city, you know, I'm also a DJ. I come from the nightlife where people are treated and treat each other like fast food. That's not my cup of tea. It's very meaningless and for me dirty, and it's more toxic than nurturing, these kind of relationships for me. So I've not I didn't go that way. But I really explored other type of connections, and I mean also sexual connections that didn't involve having a relationship, you know, and putting it out there to the world. But they were extremely important in my development as a woman, and they still are. Even if now I'm having a break, I opted to have a break. I'm in a phase of, also it's related to my studies with plants. The further you want to go in these studies and your sensitivity about your intuition and your environment, it's really important to manage the energy you spend. Mainly the energy you spend with other people, because we are women, you know, we receive. This energy stays inside of us. It feeds our body, it feeds our thoughts. And if you want to deep dive I want to deep dive in my studies more and more. I need to pay a lot of attention to how I spend my physical energy and energetic energy also.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's this saying, I picked it up, I think, somewhere in the energy circles, that for a woman, she will contain the energy of a man after a sexual interaction for 7 years. And in that energy, it's like, it's not just the germs in that sense. It's like whatever he thinks about self-esteem, money, business pressure, this and that. It's like there is an energetic connection. And for her to receive all how he treated her, everything, it can take up to, it can take time. And doesn't even have to be a scientific 7 years. It's more like how many women are aware of the fact that when they let someone in, it's not just a cup of coffee and you pee it out. It's like there is something that stays, and you can do an energetic, so to say, letting go and become conscious about the energies you let in and the energies you send out.
For sure. In an ideal world, we should have that in mind. You know, it's a bit like, for example, when you work with or study from indigenous, there's some energy exchange, for example, from, let's put it a bit simple, from rapé blows. You know, if you choose to receive rapé, you should choose the healthiest, strongest, or more creative person in the room. You're not going to choose just someone that is just starting, you know, because you're going to receive this energetic blow into your field, you know. For example, there are I don't want to get into details because it can be very extensive. But for example, as a singer, I already did rituals with spirits of birds, and mentioning that is a spirit of bird is always applied by a human. This human should be a great singer, not just someone who doesn't sing, you know. It makes all the difference, you know. So, yeah, and we should really be aware, because sometimes we are anxious, with nightmares, eating badly. We don't know where this comes from. Not just to talk that we have tough jobs that don't mean nothing to us and that are destroying the planet. But sometimes you don't know where your energy is coming from, and maybe it's coming from the person you are sleeping with.
So coming back to, you know, also meeting a partner in your life that can even meet you on that energetic level. I understood, and I share that, and I hear it a lot that our generation, or, you know, maybe you and I, we are looking for a partner who somewhat complements, but also meets me on eye level. In certain moments can push me to go beyond my own limitations. I can push him to go beyond. It's like we want to support each other in that regards. And here's this I feel like, okay, we have gone through a journey in our is doing all this work. Is there a man even meeting us on that level? I was reading the other day a post from, I think it was Nicole Lepara, who said, we need to shift our perspective on women that are, you know, in that age range, if they are single. That could be a sign of emotional intelligence. It could be, you know, a sign of secure attachment style, and she really chooses consciously which energy she lets in her body, and potentially there's nobody around her who makes her feel safe, and it's a very conscious choice, much rather than a neediness of, I need to be with someone so that I am complete. Now, I'm complete as I am. Still, I'm looking for a partner who can complement that even further, right? Where we are like 1 + 1 equals, infinity. Something new is created in that relationship. Do you feel that sometimes I have the impression that the feminine and women are oftentimes already ahead of the game in the sense of doing that inner work, and it's almost like, what do we need for men to raise the bar and to meet these women there? Because, so to say, okay, so maybe not everybody is here to raise a child and go beyond that, but there's amazing women who do not have the chance in that regard to pass on their genes and their wisdom to the next generation, or need to find new ways of like passing that on to friends' children. But where are the men meeting her on that level?
Well, I think men might be a bit confused because suddenly our role in society changed completely. Before, not long ago, like my parents had that style. My father was pushing my mom to stop working, to be fully independent. Luckily, she didn't do it, and she had a job when my dad passed away, or else we would go to sleep under the bridge. And now we are fully independent. We do our jobs. We know how to cook. We know how to iron our clothes. We learn how to pay our bills. And I think in the deep core of all of us, society knows that we are very strong, Women are really strong. We handle pain much more than men, and we handle even transformation. Like when you labor a baby, first the pain it's even a psychedelic experience. How your mind and body and soul change with that, there are no words to articulate, and I think women speak very little about the topic of after having a baby, the transformation, the pain, the recovery. Your body will never be the same, not even the way you think. Everything changes, I lost a baby and I start reaching different notes, My voice changed, my creative expression gained a new depth. And men don't have that chance. Of course, they can, grow from traumatic events of losing relatives and so on. I don't want to say we are bigger and better, but in some ways we really are, And I always like to sometimes to refer this, that even when, first of all, I would like to say that things are not, even in indigenous cultures and societies, things are not perfect. Sometimes we look at, these indigenous, they have the formula of... It's not really like that, Even in indigenous societies, male chauvinism is the rule, and even mainly in the spiritual world, women are just taking over now, We have pioneer women alive studying plants that only men were studying and learning from these plants and so on. And men are really, they're making their life difficult because it requires a lot of discipline to study fully a plant and to go to next energetic levels. And men know that we have much more resilience. We deal with pain. We master pain, let's say, unfortunately. And, and we are not here to take over, but we have a lot to give to this world. And we labor and we carry life inside us. So if women start ruling the world, I believe it will be a more generous world, because our mindset is, our DNA wants to extend life, not to kill, not to make war. We are here to supply and feed our babies, not to. And when you have a child, when you see another child, of course there are people that are a bit crazy and not balanced. Like I'm an aunt. I have 3 nephews. I'm a very present aunt. And when I look at a child, I feel I'm an aunt also, you know. It's like I'm aunt of every child, you know, because when you really know how to love a child, you don't love just yours, I feel. You love all the children, you know. And sometimes I witness from friends who had babies, couples, the man takes time to understand what it is how to hold, how to interact, and so on. But I don't want to.
The goal is always to give inspiring thoughts, so to say, of like seeing things differently, not so much stereotyping. And I do feel like women are only just reclaiming the power of also going through that pain. I mean, our parents were celebrating to not having to endure, let's say, the pain of menstruation in that sense, right? That was the age where medicine was on the forefront of like, take these painkillers and take this pill and all of that. So it was like numbing that intuition or that endurance of that pain. And we are only just regaining or re-owning that this is part of our journey. And it's still a niche of women who go that path. It's still a niche of women who say, no, I want to be in my feminine strength, and actually I want to reinvent what it means to be a strong woman. A strong woman doesn't mean I'm the strong, independent woman. I don't need men. A strong woman is, you know, a woman who knows where her gifts lay, who knows who she is, and who is, you know, ready to be the matriarch of a family, but also, you know, to be a partner and a companion to a partner in her life. Could be a man, and, you know, to make sure that the family endures in long time. It's like, I feel we are only re-understanding what our strengths is, where our powers lay. For me, the feminine is sometimes also more subtle in certain ways, but very clear. Like when you describe the dedication to medicine, I see it takes commitment, it takes integrity, it takes strength. It's like, it's not flowy in that sense.
Not at all.
So for me, sometimes there is like a misunderstanding around masculinity, femininity, what it is and what it takes. And a strong woman can be like, I see men and I see they are there who want a strong woman in their life because it gives them meaning. And in that regard, it also pushes them up, right? It's like, when we let go of competition of better and worse, it's like, no, we are in this together. And there is really men who see what it brings to their life to have a strong leader in their family who makes sure that the next generation will be better off. The next generation will be equipped with all those gifts.
I think we also should mention the role of art in this education.
Would love that.
Because, you know, like I compose songs, you know, I find I compose songs about the most important topics of my life. But if I turn on the radio now, they're talking about heartbreaking, like amorous triangles that he left me with. You know, what are we teaching our children with this art? You know, what future are we building with these songs? And, you know, I think, I think also I like a lot to share the role of art in this education, in this raising awareness of how to love better, how to interact more harmoniously with the surroundings, how to evolve better, you know, how to use because you are speaking about the powerful woman and so on, but I think I'm aware that I became quite good in being vulnerable, you know, and I think that's my biggest power. Well, I'm still learning. For example, in relationships, I'm definitely learning because I come from this tough mom, and the generation of our parents, most of them were not taught how to demonstrate love. So I have to relearn. I have to re-educate myself of how to be vulnerable in relationships. But for sure, I learned how to be vulnerable through my art, you know, and to use my deepest and strongest challenges to look them into the eyes. And this means spending hours crying and really feeling those tears, where does this come from? Why? Where is this taking me? What is this bringing me? Why am I crying this? For sure, I'm not the only one in this world crying about this topic, and how many women out there or humans are sensitive about this topic? How can I put this as an art form and just remind others that my story is not just mine? Most of us are crying for the same things, being challenged with the same things, of seeing of us suffering, of our own suffering, but also of seeing our dear ones suffering, either with disease or depression or whatever. Their expectations not being met, and so on. Having said that, I like to raise awareness for the artists out there that we have a big role in educating, in showing how it can be done differently.
Most certainly,
And in this context, I'm sorry, just for me not to lose myself. After a traumatic event, I always wanted to study Tantra. I was always wishing, I wish one day I meet a man that is already experiencing Tantra and can teach me some new caressing techniques, because Tantra is not just sex. It's really about pleasure. And to be honest, I already had incredible pleasure just someone massaging my hands, And sometimes couples lose it. I have friends that they had babies, they don't have sex anymore because they were not taught how to create a container, a space for pleasure, even if just 10, 15 minutes per day with each other, We were not taught, mainly in the cities, where, again, people treat each other like fast food, and it's like you say hi to a person and give 2 kisses. Suddenly, with 2 bottles of wine, you are in penetration. It's a big jump. There's a long way we should go and experience until the penetration happens. And I didn't find this partner, but I went to study Tantra by myself. And yes, and in the Tantra community, I had affection experiences that are really amazing, and that are teaching me the vocabulary, the touching techniques that I am now able even to share with friends, men or women, because I'm learning to receive and to give affection. And I like to tell this story because it happened very recently. I had a friend that I was passing a very challenging day because one of my best friends, she went to hospital, and I was processing that information and preparing myself to support her in the best way. And I shared this with my friend, and he really caressed me. We laid down talking. I was crying, and he was caressing me, and he knows my journey, that I lost a baby, that I'm in this path of trying to heal my sexuality and the sexuality of my lineage. And it was beautiful because at some point in the conversation, he did a prayer to my womb. This man did a prayer to my womb to prepare it for my next man. And this is the man we need. The man that when they are with us, in this case, it was not affectionate, it was a friendship only. But even if it's affectionate and if it's not forever, that man can prepare us to be better, to receive better, to feel safe, to feel nurtured. And they want the same,
Thank you for sharing that story. I love that. It touches upon, it's how to prepare for future, how to show up for one another, how to even cross something that oftentimes it's so shameful in friendships. Even in friendships, it's not that common that we have, a plan of how to behave, like praying for the womb of my friend, right? It's unheard of. I need to invent that. I need to hear that to even think of it. But it's so beautiful because it supports you into the future. And sometimes I say, when I'm working with an individual and they are coming through heartbreak or through journeys of jealousy, to also send a thank you to the partners in the past, be it their partners or to the future partner that comes, to, you know, the woman or the man that helped become that person. Because so often we are so in the here and now, which is great to be in the here and now, but so caught in, be it jealousy or be it, you know, surprise of what is coming. And we don't prepare for actually a future that we want to create. Like if I know what I want in my relationship and I actually talk to friends about it, get inspiration, start visualizing, I prepare my entire body for this. I prepare my entire body for a safe new sexual experience, for a partner who can hold me in my vulnerability. And we are coming somewhat to an end, but I'm really, I want to bring that up again. I'm really thankful that you brought up the art, because as humans, we are storytellers. As humans, if you go back in time and learn from that, which is where we started our conversation, when we learn from our lineage, it's that storytellers and musicians have always been there to pass on wisdom. And the stories, the music, the things that we share in our time, how will they support our future generations? What messages are they carrying? Are they carrying peace, harmony, how to go through difficult times, how to, you know, maybe build commitment, how to show up for each other? Do they carry that frequency? Or do they carry, you know, how to grind and how to, you know, just, you know, take the next pussy? And it's like,
it's very interesting that it's also a good topic to end up with this message, because there are studies, and I really recommend there's a very powerful psychiatrist. Her name, if I'm not wrong, is Sara Pignatelli. She's as I said, psychiatric MIT researcher. So she's not an hippie, you know. She studies the brain, and she's also deep diving now into the wisdom of shamanism, but she's not releasing yet because she's in the beginning of the studies, but she's going that way. Sara Pignatelli, she has amazing talks and interviews in the YouTube and books as well. And she researched, a solid percentage of her research is about the power of manifestation and the power. And when we turn on the news or the radio, we are feeding the world and societies with negativity, and this is a cancer, you know. So, yeah, we really need to be aware of that our words and our phrases, they are a frequency. They weave information in the space. That's why prayers are so strong. That's why sometimes you feel goosebumps or something with a frequency or with a message or with a book. And we really need to be aware that the information we put out there through news, through art, through songs, is feeding this invisible web that is going to influence our thoughts, our health, our lives, our decisions.
Our relationships, our family home. What are we listening and what information enters that space? I love that. Like, what is the relationship listening? What is, you know, the family as spirit listening? Are we talking nicely about our relationship? Are we encouraging? I have the saying that a relationship is an entity itself. So you and I, and how we talk about our friendship, our journey together, do we talk about it in an encouraging way? It nurtures the spirit of a relationship. What music are we listening to when we are together? Is it like destructive music, or is it, you know, like something that harmonizes us? So like, yeah, everything is frequency. Thank you for bringing that in. So to end this, I want to go back to when I invited you to our podcast. You had a little bit of a doubt, and I want to invite you and see how you are feeling by the end of this.
I'm feeling very good, Marcela. Thank you so much for the opportunity. When you invited me, I said straight away yes, because I'm in a phase, I've done a lot of self-development work. I like to say I study nature spirits, and well, they say until 40s you're doing research, and from 40s onwards you have something to say.
And here's the microphone.
And to be honest, this little object is becoming a part of my life. Whenever I receive one, I think, okay, you again, my friend. I knew this was, when you invited me, it was meant to be, that I should accept it, even if I was doubting, who am I to speak about relationships? You know, I just did some tantra workshops, read a few books. It's not my topic. Yeah. My topic is other things. Maybe, I think my topic is art, but of course art related to the energetic field of the natural world, for sure.
Yes.
That I've been dedicating a decade of my life to. And I want to die. I want to do this until my last breath. And it's not love and light only. There's a lot of doubt, a lot of challenges, a lot of I think those that are very sure of who they are and their values, they stop growing, you know. And for sure, my spiritual path brings me as much certainties as much questions and doubts and challenges. So yes, that was my doubt. Why should I accept speaking about relationships? I'm feeling very good. Thank you so much for allowing me to share a bit of myself.
Yes. Yeah. So honored to have you here. Thank you for your wisdom, and I'm sure there is inspiration for everyone listening, because that is, you know, when we open up to the idea that other people live a life and there is something in their life story that, you know, can really resonate with me, can inspire me, can help me think something else, something new, see something from a different angle, then I don't need to live 500 lifetimes. I actually, you know, in a split second can connect with your spirit, with your experience, and learn from that in a new moment.
That's why I think plans... I don't want to motivate everyone doing it. It's for sure not for everyone. Huh? Plants and psychedelics that are becoming quite mainstream now. But this is what these tools give us. So new angles on the topics. If you're having a normal life, city, waking up every time at the same hour, going to the same job, dealing with the same people, just exposing yourself to the same activities, you don't receive new angles. And what these things do to your mind is like bringing new perspectives on the topics. You know, I really believe that soon we're going to have companies using these tools to come up with new solutions, and most probably be more sustainable solutions, because they really put you thinking about the environment and nature and so on. And they really promote, this substance really promotes some of the better aspects of being a human.
Consciously relating.
Exactly.
With nature, with people around you, with yourself, with your ancestors.
And even between countries, because I really believe that, for example, the governors of Ukraine and Russia would be put together with one of these substances, they would conclude peace in that meeting, you know, because, yes, sometimes we just need a little tool to bring us new perspectives on our decisions and so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcela. My pleasure.